Okay, so let me take the lead on this episode because this is a very emotional episode for Moti and Kari. Hi, guys. We are back. This is Bickering with Moti and Christian. I'm Christian, and we have my guest, recurrent star,
The
Moti and
star
Kari.
of the show, Moti and Kari. Hello. How
Hi.
are you guys?
Good. How are you? How was your week?
My week was great. It was a nice little weekend. We went to this amazing dinner for 420.
Oh, you want to talk about that?
We can definitely jump on that.
Okay, good. So it was 420 last week.
It was 420 on Thursday.
A lot of people celebrate 420.
We never really smoked pot until the pandemic.
Right.
That was my first time I've ever experienced smoking.
Because you didn't
marijuana.
know how to smoke. I had to teach you how to smoke.
Yeah, but
How do you do it again? Do you remember what I told you?
You inhale and hold it in, and then you.
Exactly.
And then I start coughing uncontrollably for 35 minutes.
And that's how we know that it actually works.
I'm super high. Yeah, we never really got into it until the pandemic, which was
Right. But so we have this really good friend, Ashley. She invited us to a tasting menu. It's a cannabis infused tasting menu.
The event is called 99th Floor.
That's the Instagram handle.
That's the Instagram handle, and it's basically like you have to email to get vetted to get accepted. It's very like, and it's an exclusive members only club, basically.
Harder to get. It's even harder than to get a Taylor Swift concert to get to that dinner, I feel.
Yeah, it's hard. It's harder to get a Taylor Swift ticket than to go to the 99th floor. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say it like that, but I think.
I just want to point out that it's a limited seating.
Yeah.
There's a long list. People travel from all around the United States to come here to have that dinner.
And
we just got lucky to go.
And experience it, which was, at first we weren't sure what to expect. Like, do you smoke before? Do you walk in high? Do you, like, what happens? Like, are people smoking? Or apparently you're not supposed to smoke, and you're not allowed to smoke in the
premises,
in the restaurant. They basically take this incredible chef. It's the same chef every time, and it's a different theme every time.
This time was steak.
This time was steak in honor of 420, and it was one of the best meals I had in my entire life.
It's a journey. You have like appetizers. They are all infused. They have like, the first one had 4 milligrams.
Right.
The second one had 5. And then you have a welcome drink. It was like
It was an old fashioned infused with cannabis.
It was like 6 milligram. And then the high comes little by little. It's a progressive.
It's a gradual.
It's
growing.
a body high, actually.
Yeah.
It's not like that messy that you're laughing and you are like too hungry and like I don't know what kind of
we didn't have like the
use.
munchies. I didn't have the munchies at all, but it was because we were eating high calories with the milligrams of marijuana. So like it was, for example, like when you have an edible, you have like 3 calories with that edible because it's just a little edible, and then you get high and then you get the munchies. Here we're eating with the marijuana, so it kind of like equates it almost. Like you don't get super high. You don't get super high if you're interested in going. You don't get super high, and it's just an incredible experience.
But when I go home, I just had that body high. I went in my couch, let my dog lick my face for like an hour. So I was actually pretty high, but it wasn't a messy high that you are like.
It wasn't.
It was great. It was a great experience. The food was amazing.
And let me say, if you're not a marijuana person, just so you know, you have an elevated experience because of that meal. Every bite that I had was incredible. Yeah. I would definitely go back. It's called 99th Floor. It's on Instagram. I think you could apply online, and they have all that information. And it happens like once a month, I think.
Yeah, it was 420. That day also, I lost my verified badge on Twitter.
Oh yeah. Also on 420, we lost our blue checks on Twitter.
Who the fuck cares?
I mean, I don't really care, but you know what I realized? Like, I saw this meme between like the New York City government and then the government of New York City or something like that, and they were fighting with one another like, no, I'm the official, no, I'm the official, and one of them is obviously the imposter.
This is a mess now.
And they both have blue checks. So how do you know and differentiate between the two? Like one of them is going to start spread. There's going to be a lot of misinformation. Yeah. If you thought misinformation was a thing now, there's going to be a whole lot more misinformation.
And this plus the AI, the artificial intelligence bullshit.
That shit scares me.
I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of scams and like impersonation and like
you can't believe anything you read unless like there's people that are just haters and they'll like believe anything that they want to read just because they want to hate on it.
I know, like the future is here, and those scenarios were presented like I think 20 years ago in movies.
Yeah.
And talking about that, I was just watching the show on Apple TV. Extrapolations.
Oh,
that
yeah.
takes place in the future, which is one of my favorite subjects. And
Such an interesting show.
It's about like climate change and how the world is going to be in 50, 70 years. And the scenario that they present is really interesting because
Some of it's a little far-fetched.
I don't think so. I think it's a pretty accurate like picture of how the future is going to be. What
the cast is incredible. Meryl Streep, Kit Harington, the guy from
Diane Lane is there. Tobey Maguire is there. Marion Cotillard.
that guy from
Who?
The Last of Us.
Oh, the hot gay guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Murray.
Yeah, whatever.
Something.
But it is interesting to see how like the scenarios that they present they are actually already happening, like all these fires and like the glaciers like melting and how the temperatures are rising and what's going to happen in the future if that actually happens.
Miami is going to be underwater, they said.
I know they presented and it's scary because it's you saw that viral video from Venice. I'm pretty sure it's an old one because Venice goes underwater every now
time.
and then.
When I was studying abroad there, the water level was so high that it was already coming up. And then we went again a couple years later and it was completely fine.
There's going to be a time when that is going to not go down and it's going to be...
Yeah, I agree. I think...
But that's a good show. I mean, there's a lot of mixed reviews on it.
It's okay.
I think it's interesting. I love that.
There's a musical number that they didn't need in it.
Yeah, well, but it's I think it's great. I think it's a great show, and I feel like...
And they mix a lot of religion in it, which is kind of... I don't know. I feel like there's like, oh, look, God's not going to save us. And it's just like the people...
God doesn't exist, Moti and Kari.
Well, yes, he does. And
you're part of the problem, then.
Okay, I'm part of the problem. We're not talking about that today.
Oh, we can talk about religion if you want.
No, we're not talking about religion
I can't wait to talk about religion. Okay, so yeah, if you're looking for something new to watch, that was an amazing show.
Yeah, if you guys have any recommendations, slide in our DMs because I need a new show to watch.
Yeah.
I heard Jury Duty is good, but I haven't watched it yet.
Also, on other news, I am hosting a wine tasting this Saturday at the Cooper Building. If anyone is interested, I am posting about it on my stories. If you want a spot on that
it's almost
very limited
sold out.
seating.
It's almost sold out. I actually got to experience Christian and Bianca Peters this past Friday at
a beautiful location.
A beautiful location, which I can't disclose right now because it's someone's personal home. But it was a beautiful location. And
how did I do?
You guys
like the experience?
Honestly, you guys, it was so much fun. And I love the blind tasting portion of it where you have to like decide what it is. And I'm also learning about wine myself. So
Did you learn a thing or two while you were doing that?
I know about like Syrah now, how like it needs to be a distinct smell and taste.
That meaty smell from
Yeah. And then that cured meat.
But I feel like now when you taste wine, you taste it differently.
And Riesling.
I told you.
I could definitely know. I know what a Riesling is like off the bat. I know that it tastes like apple juice.
Yeah,
with wine.
Good, I like it because now you're gonna be drinking and tasting wine differently now that you know the little like tricks.
Oh,
how to identify.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give too much away because I don't want to give all the tips.
I am hosting with Bianca Peters a beautiful tasting, a blind tasting at the Cooper Building. Actually, I think it's already fully booked.
It's not fully booked. There's a couple tickets left.
At 3.
Yeah, but still, maybe you guys should extend it to like 30.
I know,
tickets.
right? But we'll see. But this is one of many, so be on the lookout for the next tasting because it's my new venture. I'm very excited about it. Actually, we're gonna make a whole episode about me becoming a sommelier. We're gonna have Bianca here to talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it maybe next episode or the next few episodes coming. We're gonna figure that out.
When can I decide what to do? Because every subject that we talk about here is only Moti and Kari deciding.
You know what? Whenever you sit down and actually want to talk about topics and invest your time into topics, then sure, you could decide. But currently, you just walk in.
You treat me like a guest star. I am part of the show.
Okay, so give me some topic ideas.
We're going to talk about me. That's my favorite topic. Okay, all right. So are you ready to reveal what are we going to talk about today? Because I know it's a very emotional.
I'm already sweating.
Yeah, he is so anxious about it. And it is okay because we all go through this. And to be fully honest, I also haven't had like a story like this being like out
filmed and outed and just out there in the public. Because once it's out there, it's out there.
It's out there and it's fine. So
let's start with Christian.
No,
we're gonna start with Christian because I could ask the right questions. Christian doesn't know how to ask the right questions yet, so that's what I'm gonna ask him, and then we'll talk about.
Okay, we're gonna talk about our coming out.
Our coming out story. Dum 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 dum. Dum, 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 dum. Oh my God.
Wow.
I'm already sweating.
It was a different time when I came out.
Yeah.
We're
So,
talking about 20 something years ago.
okay, so tell us, paint us
You
the
asked me the
picture.
question. 'Cause
Okay.
last time we were talking about fitness, it was a little messy. And I feel like we need to do like you are guiding this interview.
Right.
And I'm answering.
I'm happy to guide you.
Okay, good.
So Christian, your coming out story.
Yeah.
Tell me, when did this happen? How old were you?
I mean, I feel like telling someone, I could tell you I was 16. I was in high school. I was a senior. And I remember the two girls I told. And it was late at night. But I just want to jump back a little like earlier because I feel like I always knew, like I was 5 years old and I knew it. Not that I act on it, but I felt like I always knew that I was gay.
Yeah. When was your first experience? Dum, dum, dum. We're asking all the... This is the Barbara Walters interview now.
Oh, wow. Well, this is not part of coming out. Coming out, it doesn't have to involve like the sexual part
I'm
of it.
pretending like I'm a listener at home. I'm sure they want to know, when was your first experience?
I think it was pretty late in my, like, I was in my 20s, actually. Like, I was 20 when I, like, first had a kiss.
Okay.
And then if we want to talk sex, it was when I was 21. I was a late bloomer, even when I was
you don't know
my first
late
kiss
bloomer.
with a girl, I was 16. So because I know stories of guys doing, I'm pretty sure when they were 12
You're
or
talking
13.
to a late bloomer. So...
You see, maybe that's why we just get along so well.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me more about you told your friends.
So we were just the bestest of friends, the three of us. And like, I felt like I you know what? This is funny. And I'm revealing my age here right now. So there was this show in the 90s called Dawson's Creek. And I think it was the first time that you could see a gay character being portrayed like in a normal way. Yeah, of course he suffered the whole thing, but just seeing him come out to his friends and like going through it and like actually having like I don't want to say a normal life, but he came out and he was part of the show and like he kept doing things and that he was dating in the show. So it was something I've never seen before. So I felt like that encouraged me to actually come out to my
And be
girlfriends.
yourself, yeah.
The name of the character was Jack, I remember, and Kerr Smith portrayed that character. So that actually, and that's why I think it's so important to have representation on TV and in shows, because it happened to me.
Right.
I saw him coming out and having a normal life and like being part of the group and like nothing, because back in the day it was a little like, it was still taboo. It was like very sensitive subject.
It was definitely harder
Especially,
back then
I lived in
today.
Latin America. I had like, my dad, my dad is Swedish. He was the Swedish man. But, in Latin America, they always, it was a little rough to come out as a gay person, as a gay man.
Were you outed?
I wasn't outed. I was never outed, but I was bullied a lot when I was in elementary. I feel because I always was a little more sensitive, a little eccentric. I wasn't the most macho man. I was never good at sports, but I remember a couple of like kids always like calling me names and make me feel bad. And surprisingly, I had other friends defending me all the time. Say, no, he's not gay, blah, blah, blah. And I like in the back of my head, like, oh, I am, but I'm not ready. And also when you're 10 years old, like, what do you know about life? I don't know. It's also a scary time. No. I was bullied when I was 10.
Okay.
And then I came out when I was 16 because I feel like I come to terms with it and like I understood. And I felt like I fell in love with this classmate of mine. And
did you guys hook up?
No. But funny thing
is he gay too?
No.
Okay.
But that's a little bit of the background. But I do remember when I had to come out to my parents. Well, I never told my dad. But I told my mom because she knew I was already dating someone. That motherfucker like really fucked me up. But
how old were you here?
21.
21. Okay. So 21 was your first relationship.
It wasn't really a relationship. It was like a couple of dates, and I was in love, and he was just playing with me because I was like a rebound guy, and but my mom could tell I was like
whipped,
like in love, and like you act different, and like, oh, who are you in love with? So she kept naming all these girlfriends of mine that we used to call my home, and I'm like, no, and then she suddenly say, oh, is the Carlos? Like as a joke, and I'm like, yes, that's him. And then she was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And she didn't take it bad, but she didn't take it very well. And then she decided that my sister will handle this better. Because she wanted me to seek for like some help to make sure that I was sure about it. So I had to tell my sister so she could talk to my mom and like, you know, like help each other and like talk to, I don't know. It was tough on my mom, I feel. But I actually distanced myself from my family for a little bit. Well, I mean, it's been 20 years. I don't think that's a little bit.
Yeah. You still speak to them.
Yeah, but I don't think that was what triggered me to leave my family or Venezuela in any case. I always wanted to live abroad. Wow, I'm getting nervous talking about this. But I put a distance. I love my mom and she loves me, and like I have a good relationship with them right now. And I never told my dad, but he slowly understood in the course of 20 years that I was gay for sure. They stopped asking me about girlfriends.
Yeah,
like they knew, and like I mean, I have a pretty open social media situation going on, and you have to be blind not to see that I'm gay. So I never openly told my dad, and I sometimes regret it because he passed away last year. But you know that he asked about you the past 2 years. He always, how's Moti, how's Fistook, so he knew, but I feel like that was his way to acknowledge, but without me having to openly tell him, hey, come out to him. I think that's how, I never had a coming out story because for me, it was always understood. It was always part of my life. And like, I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but it's like you have to be blind not to see it.
Right.
Right?
I feel like there's a lot of pressure today if you don't have a coming out story, and if you don't tell anyone, you don't post about it, and you don't get on the Ellen DeGeneres show and talk about it. You know, if there's just so much pressure of coming out these days, and it just feels like I feel like that was also another reason why it took me so long, because I feel like there's so much pressure. Like what if my parents don't accept it, or what if I don't get on the Ellen DeGeneres show? I'll be so disappointed that my story wasn't good enough. No, not even that. I just think that there's this new standard, and it's okay that you didn't tell your dad, you know, and like your dad understood, like that's your understanding with him. Like he already understood, like you don't necessarily have to tell him, oh, by the way, I'm gay, if he already knows.
I know. I feel like, but still, I feel like sometimes I think like he would have taken it well.
Yeah.
It would have been, I don't know. I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I don't regret it, but sometimes I think I want to put myself in that situation and see his reaction. But I don't know. Just seeing my mom not being very well with it.
Yeah. I
just didn't want to, I wasn't scared of my dad because my dad was the sweetest man.
Yeah.
And my mom was actually scary at sometimes. But it's just, you know, it's just that thing that you grow up in Latin America and just like the machismo and like it's
also very different.
Scary.
Like you weren't dependent on them. You know, like you weren't living, they weren't funding your life or paying for your rent or your travels.
I lived with them for a long time. But then I right after high school, I I spent very little time with them. I actually lived on the street for a little bit. It was scary, but
when did you leave at home?
I lived at home like 6 months. I never left my house, and I'm very grateful for that because when I moved to Aruba, while I was waiting for my paperwork to be done, and I had no job, I had all my chips there. Like, this is it. I'm moving to Aruba. I was waiting for my visa to get approved and everything. I just sat down at home with them for like 6 months. I never left my house. And I was just keep thinking, this is the last time I'm going to see them. I better enjoy the 6 months doing absolutely nothing with them. And I'm happy I had those 6 months with them because once I left, I never came back. And it's been 20 years since then.
Wow.
And I'm not proud to say that I've seen him 5 times in the past 20 years. So no one knows what happened behind closed doors. No one knows what happened, right? And now I want to hear about your story.
Well,
because I think I have a lot
of questions to ask.
Not a lot of questions to ask, but I have a big impact on your, like, I don't know.
Well, this isn't your story; it's my story. So,
yeah, but okay. Tell us, Moti. When was the first time that?
Okay, well, I come from a very modern Orthodox community. And, of course, like I wasn't really exposed to gay culture or being gay or gay friends, or I didn't even have any gay friends until
All your
college.
friends are gay now.
Most of them, yeah. And in high school, I mean, even in elementary school, I feel like I did get called, the F word a couple times. I've been called fag, whatever. And then gay, of course, a couple times. But I never really, I felt like I was different, but I didn't know enough about it to know that I was different. When you're not exposed to enough experiences or enough people, or you don't know. You're like, oh, I'm not like that because I don't know anyone like that around me, and I don't enjoy Ariana Grande because I didn't know Ariana Grande.
I mean, I feel
like
you come from a very you come from a bubble. That little small community in Brooklyn is like a little
definitely
scary.
come from. It is a bubble there for sure. They all know it, and I sometimes get messages from people from that community that reach out to me saying, "Oh my, you're such an inspiration, and I wish I could do what you're doing." And I'm like, meanwhile, like they don't even know what I went through, like how hard it was for me, and like I just remember like getting to high school. And I like pretended I was sick for like 3 months. I didn't go to school. I was like, yeah, I'm sick, Mom. I can't go to school. Like literally 3 months the first year. Just not because I was just meeting new people, and I didn't really like it there. But it wasn't even because
were they mean to you?
It wasn't. They weren't mean to me. I felt like I was in somewhat not bullied, but I was excluded for sure in different things. Like also like I come from a very modest home. Like we weren't rich. I come from a 2-bedroom apartment, and all these kids around me like are literally driving Range Rovers and 650s and like all these different cars and going to Acapulco and Aruba and Miami 3 times a year, and like I was taking the bus and
maybe that's what you like,
and working on vacation days on when school was out of recess, like I was working. But
how is this connected to your coming out?
Well, it's not. You were just asking questions. So I started, I think like my first.
Because actually, let me stop you here right there.
Yeah.
This is your coming out.
Yeah, this is
You're
my
doing it
coming
in
out story.
public right now.
Yeah, for all you guys don't know, like I never really came out, and like I never really had the experience of coming out or posting about it or talking about it. So this is kind of like really hard for me. So bear with me here while I like try to take you guys through my journey.
Yeah, can't wait to hear.
Yeah, so I think like right when I started working, even when I was at Baruch, I wasn't really exposed to gay culture. I wasn't going to gay clubs. I wasn't going to anything gay related. So I was still like kind of in the closet. I also started my blog called The Metrosexual Man. It was called The Metro Man. And it was just like I don't know. I feel like I was in denial, a piece of me, or like I was just not ready. I felt like I had to create that to feel like I wasn't that. Like
it was
I wasn't
your
gay.
Sasha Fierce.
It was like my
alter ego?
It wasn't even an alter ego. It was more of like a disguise, and like kind of like running away from the truth almost. And then one day, I remember like telling my friend Walter, like I was driving one day and I was just like so sad, and like I was crying, and I pull over and I'm just like crying, and like Walter just like FaceTimes me, and he sees me and he was like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, what's up? Like, and then he like kind of just walked me through, and like I was so afraid to tell him, and he kind of just knew. Like he's like it's either like you have like something's happening to you, or like I know, Moti, like we can talk, like you could tell me, like you're my. He's like, I love you, like he's like, oh, I love you, like no matter what, all these different things. And it kind of gave me like this confidence, because again, like I wasn't exposed to people accepting that being gay.
And here's the thing, Walter is not gay.
And Walter's not gay. But he has a gay sister, so like he kind of understands, and like he understands the acceptance, and he's very vulnerable himself. And I don't know, it was just, he was one of the first people I told. He was the first person I told. And then now, I slowly was telling my friends, like
Oh, I heard stories, and they say that they already knew. They were just waiting for you to tell them.
I'm sure they already knew, but that's not the point. Like that's everyone
it was scary.
Almost.
I think I helped you a little bit.
Yeah, and then I started dating Christian early on, like when I was.
How long till
24.
you came out from Walter till you started dating me? How many months in between? What's that?
I want to say like maybe like it wasn't that far. It was like maybe like when I was like 22, 23. I definitely told Walter like when I was 22, 23, and we started talking 24. Like when I was 24.
That was 2 years in between.
Yeah.
Oh,
24,
I know
yeah.
a few stories of you doing like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely had like very few stories of which we could do that. We could talk about our first time of whatever on a different episode. But I remember dating. Me and Christian started, texting, talking, whatever.
And he didn't want to, it was never understood. I thought that he knew he was gay, but he always kept, talking in a more, neutral way.
On,
and I know you are
on my Facebook, it still said interested in women when me and Christian were talking.
He doesn't want to change the Facebook status that we are in a relationship with this motherfucker.
Because also, I thought you don't care about Facebook. I'm not going to put that on Facebook also, no one's even on there. Anyways, I started going to, me and Christian started a relationship. I started going to Aruba pretty often, every other month. And, as a content creator, influencer, I was working a lot with different brands, traveling already. So it didn't look out of place of me going to Aruba every other time. But we worked with the Marriott, we worked with the Ritz-Carlton there. And then it was just, no one really thought
that we were a couple.
At first, people didn't know, but some people picked up on it. Some people didn't, though. It took a while because we didn't post.
I'm sure my ex-boyfriend picked up on it very quick.
It actually took him a long time. It took him a long time to realize. But once it was about, I think it was December. I was there early December, and this was probably after 1 year of us being together, and still haven't told my family or my parents, nothing. And Christian would comment really stupid, annoying things on my posts,
like what? I love you, I miss you, you're so hot.
Very sometimes inappropriate.
Hey, wait a second, you were leaving fire emojis in every single hot guy.
No, I wasn't.
On Instagram.
No, I wasn't.
Is that not?
I wasn't. I would probably say cheeky things.
You live in denial, Moti Christian.
I didn't do that. Anyways, you would write all these different things, and my sisters would always ask who's this Christian guy? Why is he posting that, saying these different things? But anyways, one day
you were lying.
I was I
don't know who that is.
I'm oh, he's just an annoying person trying to be annoying.
While I was your boyfriend.
Yeah. Anyways, one day
you're gonna pay for this one day.
I flew back from Aruba, and I get a face call from my twin brother, and actually, let me rewind back. I get a text message from a friend who I'm not going to say his name because I don't I'm not shaming him. I'm not outing him, even though he outed me. But there's this guy, one of our friends, who I love till today. He's still a friend, and I don't hold this against him.
Piece of shit.
I don't hold it against him. And he saw my twin brother out at a club, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm seeing Moti's replica. It's so cool." He texts me, he's like, "Oh my god, I saw your twin brother." And he sees him, and they talk, they hang out, whatever. And then I get Ami doesn't call me, but at the time the person tells Ami "Oh my god, Moti's so lucky that his boyfriend lives in Aruba because he gets to go there all the time." And he told me that Ami's face turned white. He put his drink down and sat down and thought wait, what? And it took him a second, and it didn't sit well with him for a minute.
Yeah, it's shocking news.
It was shocking news. And at the time when that person told him, he was yeah, he kind of acted a little he didn't want to talk to me after that, which was weird. It's and then I kind of picked up on it that I kind of brought it up to him, and I felt awful about it. He said he felt awful about it. And
he outed you.
So Ami calls me when I get back from Aruba, because me and Ami are very close. I'm very close with my family. I talk to them very often. We FaceTime a lot. I FaceTime my twin brother all the time, literally 3 times a day. And he tells me hey, I want to tell you something. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think it was going to be anything remotely next to that. And he's like, I saw your friend River, and he brought this up to me, and it didn't sit well with me.
You name him again. Leave it. Who cares?
Okay, forget it. I'm just going to leave it there. So sorry, River. And he tells him, and Ami is to me, I feel terrible that you aren't able to tell me this. I feel I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, that's so sweet of him.
He said that to me, and I started crying.
I remember.
I will say I did go quick into defense mode and say I felt like I had to defend myself because, and it's this mentality thing of like, oh, like I need to have this coming out story and like having a fight with a family member and making sure that, oh, I'm not accepted because of this whole everyone's stories that I've been hearing. But it wasn't like, it's not always like that, and doesn't have to be like that. So for some reason I was on this defensive mode, which I shouldn't have been. And I felt like I got into an argument with him because of my defensive mode. And at first, you know, he said he was shocked because, you know, I had girlfriends at the time, like before, not that long before. And I did, like
You use that term very loosely.
I explored.
You had a crush on someone in secret and you called them a girlfriend.
I mean, we had a relationship, like whatever. Anyways, I'm not even going to talk about her or bring her up. But I just remember, that could actually be, that's a good thing for the next episode. I'm not going to say it, but I remember telling him, and we still spoke, and like there was a little bit of time for him to digest it and whatever it is.
But he came around.
He came around, and then Christian and him like went to clubs together, and like
I remember,
and like they were friends and everything. And then, you know, then after Ami found out, like my sisters kind of found out, and they were fine about it. I think they also had a little bit of a hard time. I would say, you know, Ami's probably the one that still has a hard time with it because, I don't know, I think he's a man. He's a guy, and he's like, I'm his twin brother, and he's pretty like also on the religious side. So like I feel that has a big
I think they're handling pretty well.
Yeah, they're handling it pretty well. Now, parents...
We went on vacation together.
Now, my parents, unfortunately, still don't know. I still haven't come out to them at all, like, till to this day.
Do you think they know?
You know, like, everyone always says, like, oh, do you think they know? Like, my dad's not on Instagram. My mom's barely on Instagram.
Yeah, but they see you, and they see the way you talk.
They see the way I talk, but I don't talk Ariana Grande with them. I don't talk to them about the Eagle. I don't talk to them about, like, different... I don't talk to them gay culture.
No, yeah, I'm not shaming you or not making you feel bad about things. About it goes beyond if you have like hand gestures or like you talk about like Britney Spears. I'm telling you that parents they raise you since you're a baby till you're an adult. They know you. Yeah. Every little atom of your body they know. And they choose not to talk about it till you're ready. And I'm pretty sure once you're ready to talk about it, especially now that you're 32, it's not like you're 15 or 16 or 10 that, you know, it's a little more challenging, I feel. But once you're a grown-up man, also you're very successful, you're such a good son, I don't think there's going to be an issue.
I just feel like, even till this day, my mom's like, oh, when are you going to marry a nice Jewish girl and bring kids?
She's not asking you that anymore.
She still asks me that.
Well, they will stop, because they asked me till I was 30, and then
I'm 31. Like, when does it end? But anyways, it's not even that. Like, I one day, and a lot of people here are going to probably be like, oh, like, you should have told them before you speak about this. Let me tell you something, okay? There's something almost like I feel freedom when I'm able to talk about it like this here, knowing that my parents are definitely not listening to this podcast. But
someone is going to tell them.
I don't think anyone's going to tell them. Like, hey, I don't even think it's that. Like, my parents are old. Like, I don't feel like I need to tell them. Like, I don't feel like I'm hiding anything from them, you know?
I'm going to tell you something, and don't go on panic mode, but I had the same feeling, but I never had a podcast and broadcasted to the world.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like you actually, after putting this out there next week, you actually have to go sit down and talk to them.
No, eventually I want to tell my mom first. And, you know, it's weird. I was just in Miami with a friend, and I asked him what his coming out story is, because our families are very similar. They're very modern Orthodox. They're religious. And he said that both his mom didn't. He's like, I couldn't hold it in. Like, I had a rock in my stomach. I had to tell my parents. I had to tell them. Like, I don't have a rock in my stomach anymore. Like, I had that rock when I was unable to tell my siblings, or I was unable to tell my friends, or I was unable to post. Like, now I'll post whatever I want. I won't post us kissing, because also I don't like
public displays of affection are tacky.
I wouldn't even post it if I had a girlfriend. Like, I think that's so weird to like post like you're like you kissing, and hugging is different, and like showing affection. I think it's just such a like personal thing, and like it's a private thing, and like you don't need to publicize that. Anyways, people are going to criticize me for not telling them yet, and I'm posting it here, but I just feel there's something.
I'm so proud of you for actually doing this.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Good for you. No, yeah, I think like there's, yeah, like I want to tell my mom one day, and like I want to like invite her to.
I'm inviting you to do it within the next 5 days before this episode
Yeah.
comes out.
It happens like in 2 days, but I think I'm gonna invite my mom like to lunch one day and like tell her
Maybe
about
she should
it.
come here to the show.
Or maybe she should come on the show. Yeah. No, I feel like she's just like my parents
your mom.
are older and like they're older. Like I'm afraid like I don't want them to be upset. I don't think they're gonna be disappointed. I just think they're gonna be like somewhat upset because like they believe this.
I'm just telling you this because I think they will maybe get hurt by the fact that you decided to come out publicly and talk about them and not actually addressing this with them first privately.
I feel like, you know what, that's like this pressure of this like this idea that people have put in society saying like you should tell your parents and you should come out first.
You have a safety net. Whatever happened, you know, I'm here for you.
There's no rules. Like there's no like this is my journey, and like if I feel comfortable, I still see them. I don't feel like I'm lying to them. You know, I'd be lying to them if I had like kids and like they don't know about them. They've met you. So like obviously we don't label ourselves and say, "Oh, this is like my boyfriend." Like we don't label ourselves like that in front of them, but it's not like I'm hiding you, you know, like they know about you. The other day I was talking to my mom. She asked me about you. Like
she sends me food.
They know that like they know we live together. Like I don't feel I owe it to them to say like, "Hey guys, I'm gay." Like I just hate that like notion. Like you have to post about it and send a press release. You don't need to.
But how do you feel about like I mentioned it earlier before, like that you need to have representation sometimes on TV or like on social media on like because I feel like in my case, whatever. But in your case, I feel like a lot of Jewish kids from your community or Jewish kids around the world have the same fears that you have. And maybe you coming out right now in this podcast is going to help them feel okay with this and maybe open up and not feel so scared like you were.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
there's something,
your religious background is so like crazy.
There's something liberating with obviously getting it off your chest and telling your parents, but also like I don't want to put the pressure on anyone to like tell your family members. Like if you still want to,
we're not putting pressure. We're just letting them know that hey, we went through it or we're going through it, and
yeah,
like, it's
I'm still
okay.
going through it. Like literally, like I'm still like I don't know how my parents are gonna react. I remember I had an incident with my dad. I'm not gonna bring it up.
You don't live with them.
Yeah, lucky me. That's
They're
what
not
I
gonna
kept
put you on the
thinking.
street.
That's literally what I kept thinking. I was like, you know what? I'm so independent. Like, if anything, they're more dependent on me than I'm dependent on them.
That is not true.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really dependent on them. Like, they don't pay for my rent or anything, but that's not, I don't think they're going to disown me.
It doesn't come to money.
My parents
Moti.
love me.
It's
My
the
dad-
emotional bond that you have with them.
My dad loves me.
You see your family like twice
Every
a week.
Friday, yeah.
I don't see them.
Yeah,
ever,
I know. That I feel like seeing them more kind of just makes it, like, I don't know, makes me feel like I'm not hiding something from them because I see them so often. If I felt like I was hiding from them, like, and I wasn't telling them something, I wouldn't be going to seeing them.
Do you think
every
your
week.
family likes me?
I think my family likes you.
Do you think your mom likes me?
I think so.
Because I was most scared of her, and I think she likes me.
She's the best. My mom's the best. And she was so sweet to you. What did she tell you? She said, "You're always invited here for Shabbat dinner."
Yeah, I always want to go, but I don't know. When am I coming next?
I don't know, like whenever.
Maybe you can have the conversation with them with me right next to you.
No, I wouldn't do that. That's like really, that puts a lot of pressure on me. I wouldn't tell my dad. I think I would tell my mom before I tell my dad. And then maybe like have my dad tell my mom. Have my mom tell my dad.
Now, to wrap up this, and I say it again, I feel like it's so important for a Jewish kid like you to come out and like tell.
Or any religious person.
Well, I'm not really religious. I always call myself a Roman Catholic just to piss you off.
Yeah, I know that.
Because I am on the more like, I don't believe in shit. Is there something you want to tell someone going through the same situation that you were going through, that is listening right now? Because I'm pretty sure some of your friends that are from your religious background or bubble are listening to you, and maybe, you know, you are helping them right now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it gets better. I wish like I could tell myself that.
It's such a cliche, but it gets better.
It gets better, I swear. Like, I wish I could tell myself that when I was crying to Walter on FaceTime. I was like, don't worry about it, it's going to get better. I remember I used to cry so freaking much about it because, like, it was just like, and I was living at my parents' home at the time, too. So, like, I was just like, I didn't.
So telling someone really helps.
Telling someone, like, helps, like, getting it off your chest. Like, there's something liberating with telling even your friends or like,
A stranger, on the internet.
Yeah, or a stranger on the internet, or like, or finding a lover. Like, you don't necessarily need to share everything with your family. Like, you don't need to tell, or your community, or your closest friends. Like, if it's your closest friends, you'll be able to tell them. I mean, I feel like with my close friends, I really didn't even come out to them, and I felt like that's probably like one of my bigger regrets than even telling my parents, because with your parents, like, of course, like, that's your fear. It's your parents, like your closest girlfriends. Like, you should be able to tell them, and that, I feel like I really regret that.
Well, you can change that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I still speak to them, and like, they know, and like, you've met them and you've met their kids.
Good. Well, I mean, to wrap up, again, because I have to shut you down all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like
Sorry.
I also wasn't. We didn't know if we wanted to talk.
Yeah, we kept
about
changing this topic for this episode five times.
I'm happy I did, and I'm like, I still was, even if at my age, it was a little nerve wracking too. I'm just so like, sometimes I see these kids doing it, and they are so young, and like they're so proud, and they're so loud, and I'm like, wow, I wish I had that.
I honestly, I kept thinking that. I was like, if I was 18, like, it's so much easier.
In this generation, it's so much easier.
It's so much easier to come out when you're younger, because like, it feels like you're not lying for so long. Like, when I was 25, like, I felt like I was lying. And not only that, I had a blog called The Metro Man. So it was like, I'm lying so much, and like, it just felt like it made it harder and harder to come out, I feel.
Yeah, but you did. Congratulations,
The Metro Man's dead.
Wow, it's done and over. Is that rock in your stomach gone?
I mean, there's a part of it that's definitely gone. I just feel like after this episode now, I feel like I want to tell my mom even more.
Maybe we should bring her here.
No, we're not going to bring her here.
Okay.
And on today's episode, we have a special segment of Dear MNC. We will be sharing a couple of questions / people that ask for advice on our social media channels. Plus, if you have any questions, you can email us at bickeringpodcast@gmail.com. And please be as specific as possible. We love these questions.
And if you have suggestions for something that you guys want us to talk about, because this was pushed.
Yeah, a lot of people asked for this.
People wanted us to talk about this.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Okay, shoot the first question.
So the first Dear MNC is, Dear MNC, I'm currently seeing this guy, and we do everything like any other couple would do. We hold hands, hook up, and do everything together. When he comes back abroad, I'm the first he texts / sees. But when I asked him what are we, he quickly shuts it down. What do I do about this situationship? First of all, I didn't even know what a situationship is until I had to Google it. And it's basically just like a romantic relationship that's unlabeled, and it's just like usually a short-term thing. This guy said they were dating for like a year or so, or a couple of years.
That's not a situationship. That's just...
But they don't want to put any labels on it. I feel like they're just afraid of like commitments.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them's afraid of commitment. So
I'm thinking you're the side chick. He has another person.
I don't think he's a side chick.
Well, that's how I see it.
I feel like he might be scared of like labels, or for example,
when you love someone, you go for it.
Yeah, I think there's. I
don't think he loves you.
How do you get out of it? How do you get out of it then?
It's hard because
it's comfortable.
I don't think it's comfortable, but like, I mean, the way I see it, he probably has another person, or he doesn't really love you so much. I don't know.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there's like a commitment issue. Like, people are afraid to commit, and they're afraid of labels. So that's why they're stuck in this situationship.
So what would you advise to this person?
And I think like, maybe...
Talk to him. You need to address it and talk to him and confront him and say, hey, like, are we a couple or are we not a couple?
I followed up with this question because like I was really curious to know. But it sounded like he was kind of giving this like condescending voice, and like he's like, oh, well, you're not like this and you're not like that. Like, he was giving a paternal voice.
Well, how old are they? Is they older than
I don't know. I didn't ask all these questions.
Well, you want to solve this problem, you go, confront him, ask him, what are we? Are we a couple? Are we not a couple? Why don't you want to be a couple?
I think there's something beautiful about like not labeling it though, but I understand his fear of like, he wants it to be labeled.
It is beautiful if both agree and not labeling it.
Right.
But when one of the parties wants to label this because he needs the validation, or he needs to know that he's not wasting his time.
Right. The wasting
go
time
ask.
part. Yeah. I think you give him an ultimatum.
Find the courage.
If you want the boyfriend label, give him the ultimatum. And if he doesn't want to, then he's
hiding something.
He's just a fuck buddy.
He's fucking hiding.
He's just like he's a best friend with benefits.
We have a saying in Spanish, like, piensa mal y acertarás. That means like, when your gut is telling you something that is wrong, it's because there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So, go for it.
Our next one is, Dear MNC. I've been with my partner for 13 years. How do we keep the fire alive in the bedroom?
You open the relationship, go for threesomes. What is that new app that is going around, Sniffies?
Yeah, Sniffy.
So, like, go to the Eagle every Friday night.
Well, maybe no. Okay, well, this is just like their first
Sex
time.
part.
Well, you guys could like do some like role
13
play.
years?
13 years. That's long. I don't know. Like once you find out the solution, let us know so we know. Honestly, like I don't know.
How do you keep the fire? I mean, the fact that you're 13 years together, that speaks volumes about how much you love each other.
How do
I
you keep
mean,
the
I feel
fire
like
in
you
the
probably are
bedroom?
like bored in the bedroom. Like,
Yeah.
Open the fucking relationship. That's it. It's so normal these days.
I feel like either like before you open up the relationship, I feel like you should like maybe like invite a third or like
That's opening the relationship.
well, that's not really opening the relationship. That's just
you
like having
open
a
it to
threesome.
have experience. I don't know, because
Or actually like finding out what you guys both like and like kind of creating those scenarios and like I don't know, role playing. I don't know. I have a friend who like I'm not gonna say his name, but he has the most exciting sex life, I feel. Because he always like they do this, I don't know, they do a lot of things in different places and they do this like role play and they're always like, yeah, like we're always so I'm like
but there's someone else involved.
well it's
It's
two
not just the
people.
two of them.
It's two of them.
And they invite someone else.
No, they don't have like I don't think they have three.
Are they Fuch and Fuch?
Yeah, they're Fooch and Fooch. Anyways, moving on to the next one because I don't want to get into that because
Open the relationship.
not open the relationship, but if it works, like, you know, some people it works, some people don't. It's not judgmental. You guys could figure that on your own. It just depends on
But once you open
each
it, there's
relationship.
no turning back.
Okay, dear M&C, when you're apart from one another, who is better at checking in? Are there any rules?
Oh, this is good.
This is a very good
Whenever
one.
he leaves,
When I travel,
I like completely ignore
Christian
him.
ignores
I
me.
mute him.
Mutes
He doesn't
me.
exist. I mute his Instagram stories. I mute everything.
He doesn't,
he doesn't
answer
exist.
nothing. Like I'll be like, oh my gosh, like look at this room, and like, oh my god, like look at this, and like, oh, like thinking of you.
It is hard for me to be
and
apart.
all these sweet messages, and he just like ignores me.
Yeah, because that's how I deal with the pain of you being apart from me.
Yeah.
You know, we all go through different like situations, and like I just ignore you because usually you're being sus while you're traveling.
I'm not being
and I don't
sus.
want you to be sus and then text me I love you because I know it sounds fudge.
Well, I'm not being sus, and yeah, I message you.
I mean, at the beginning of our relationship, yeah, we used to be on top of each other, texting
Yeah.
each other, and like, but when it comes to important things, we always reply. But when he's just
important things,
bored in
Christian
his
will be like-
room, because that's when he texts me. He only texts me when he's bored, when he's like
I love
in the
how-
toilet, or when he's in bed and no one else is texting him. That's when he texts
I
me.
love how you define
But
that as
believe
bored.
me, it's Friday in Miami, 6 p.m. He stops and he doesn't reply to me till 11 in the morning the next day when he wakes up hungover. Because he went out the whole night and he
You
didn't
were
feel the
out.
need to text me. So I get angry because, you're waking up and you're hungover.
You
That's
were
why you're being
hosting a
so
wine
cute.
tasting at the time, so why would I bother you?
I was at the Eagle.
Yeah, okay, that too. So like, why would I bother you?
Shut up. So what was the question again?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have the question. It's just like, anyways, that's how we cope with
We
it.
handle this.
We
I
don't
mean,
we really don't cope with it well. Like
we also have 13 years together. Like
13. Calm down. It's been 7 almost. When you're apart, that was the question. When you're apart from one another, who's better at checking in? Honestly, Christian
Moti-
is better. Oh, I'm better at checking in? Okay, so I'm better at checking in. I was about to say you're better at checking in. But you're right, actually. I travel more out of town.
for
Obvious reasons.
obvious reasons.
As
Right
you guys
now,
heard from our Mexico trip. And our last Dear MNC is, Dear MNC, what do you do when you run out of things to say to your partner? So me and Christian started our relationship as a long distance relationship. We were talking to each other from the morning till the night. I used to like get scared, like, am I gonna, are we gonna run out of things to say?
you never run out of
We
things
didn't
to
run out of things to say. We would talk about like literally everything.
When it feels right, when it's the right person, you always have something to talk about.
But then it started like, we started like running out of things to say, I remember. And I would like Google like topics to talk about.
That's so lame.
And we would
Moti.
also play games. Like we'd be like, oh, let's play a game. Like
Yeah,
I
but-
ask you like a question and then he'll have to like reply.
But this question is like in the background. How long have they been going on? How long are they together? Because Moti and I, we're 7 years together. And yeah, we don't have this long conversation till 3 in the morning like we used to. That's only
Right.
normal.
Yeah.
Right. That's why you bring a third to the relationship.
Okay,
So you
can
have some.
Can you stop?
It doesn't happen and it's fine. We have comfortable silence. If
Yeah.
anything, we sit down right next to each other. I don't need to talk to you about everything. But whenever I need to say something, I know he's there and
Yeah.
he will listen to me. But like we are not talking about.
I also think there's something beautiful about like not talking, because like you need to like not talk
Believe
so
me,
you can.
he loves it because I wake up in the morning and I'm like chatty catty. I always want to
God.
talk about, and he
I'm not a morning person.
treats me like shit.
I don't treat you like shit. I just like say, hey, can
So
you?
now I wake up in the morning, I don't open my mouth.
He's so chirpy in the morning. I was like, Christian, can you like relax? Like,
Not anymore. He ruined it for me.
6:45 a.m.
I'm a
Like,
morning person, so I like, you know what?
he has 3 cups of coffee by 6:45 a.m. So he's a morning person. I haven't even had a cup of coffee at 6:45.
So when I wake up in the morning, I don't talk to him. He's like, "Oh, are you mad at me? Why aren't you talking to me?" No. So
Anyways,
you will never find a balance.
You are going off tangent right now. Anyways, the important part in this answer and this question is that it's nice to not talk, like, because then you guys have then something to say later, like, oh, like, how was your day, or like, what did you do, and that like kind of like brings it. So it's not, you don't
I
always
feel like, no, I feel like there's an insecurity there.
You don't
on
always
your
have to
side
talk.
that you feel the need to keep entertaining this person. Sometimes it's just comfortable being with you. You don't have to like constantly find new ways to entertain this person. I feel like a relationship, the longer it gets, the more comfortable it is to be just in the presence of that person and without having to like. I mean, I don't know. Am I losing the?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. You kind of like, I lost you.
Thank you.
But yeah, anyways, you don't need pressure to, if you guys aren't talking, if you guys are running out of things to talk about, you don't have to necessarily talk. It doesn't show like, oh, that means you're not interested in the person. You don't love the person. You can love the person without like constantly talking 24/7. You know what I mean? It's not.
And if you feel the need to talk about something,
Yeah.
just, like try to, because sometimes I also wanna
That was
fighting with you.
That was our success in our relationship, is that we never played games. Like, I never said, oh, I'm not going to answer that text and wait for him to answer. Like, I never played those games.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This was our 5th episode. I hope you.
Okay, let me like end it because you're annoying.
Okay.
All right, and that is our episode for the day. My name is Moti.
My name is Christian.
Please. Oh, by the way, if you guys are here and listening, you guys made it to the end of the episode, be sure to rate our episode on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Bickering Podcast, Moti and Kari at Christian Bendek. And we will see you next week.
Bye.